welcome to BNN Canada with me, Nivedna Prabhu. On today's episode, I'm joined in by Manpreet Joshi again, who's taken the time out to come on our show. Manpreet, thank you so much. You are, of course, the director of SIA Immigration, which is based in British Columbia. Before we begin the episode, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for inviting me over again.
Always a pleasure. We're getting, like last time, there have been a lot of queries regarding, of course, immigration. Immigration, like we spoke before, is such an integral part for Canada. The first question to you would be, with everything still so uncertain, when we spoke last time, we were very positive that things could have changed. But if we look at it right now, let's start off with, on that front, what is the current situation of immigration in Canada?
Of course, temporarily some visas are on pause, especially if we talk about the federal skilled worker. There has been no draw for a while. But again, I would definitely say if we look at Canada's future, for an example, this corona wasn't here, then this would be the time when Canada is needing highest number of immigrants compared to the recent history.
Right.
Because of the high number of retirements happening. Now, even if Corona is here, we cannot ignore this fact. People are going to retire, jobs will be vacant. And one thing I would like to add here, immigrants do not only take jobs, they create jobs also. Right. There is, this entrepreneur immigration, business immigration, where they come and set up business, and also like a basic immigrant. For an example, a student who did master's here, graduate, worked a couple of years, maybe having, he or she is having their own business today, and they have maybe they have Canadian-born workers working for them. So immigrants are an integral part and will be despite of the situation. I have a feeling that once all this settles, the economy will start to grow again. The numbers will not change drastically. It will not come super down.
Okay.
Canada will be needing workers. We will be short of workers because of this high number of retirements. Okay. I mean, there might be a little bit of fluctuation and might be a bit of delays in the things, but yes, we cannot ignore this factor that Canada is needing workers, and we will be needing more as more retirements happen. So I don't think so. Immigration, the government of Canada will change a lot of plans and maybe seize immigration and bring it to very less. No, I don't see that.
But there is a high time that because of COVID, a couple of programs might need a little bit of tweaking of strategies, whether it's FSW, because one of the things that a lot of people have concerns about is the age factor, considering the maximum number of points is until you're 29. So on that front, now let's say that someone's already put in their profile, probably they made the cutoff. The last cutoff in March, please correct me if I'm wrong, was around between the range of 470 to 475.
Exactly.
So let's say that someone who has that, those number of points, and they've been waiting in the pool, but now they've lost that 5 points because of the age factor. Because if coronavirus was not there, maybe the draws would have taken place. So how does one tackle that? Do you see that maybe on that front, a little bit of tweaking of the programs would happen?
It is really hard to say, because in order to compensate that numbers that would come through FSW and CEC, government has drastically dropped CEC score to just compensate the numbers. So to my understanding, most of this database, in government plans goes by the numbers, right? Their concern is we need these many workers in such skills. Are we getting them? Of course, I'm not saying that they will ignore FSW completely. No, because FSW brings its own kind of workers that might not be necessarily Canadian experience class brings. But again, I don't think that this will be the priority thing or this will be something that they think on priority to make this change in FSW as soon as everything opens up. they might look at the numbers, and after a couple of draws, a trend comes up, then government might think, okay, we should give it a try, because there were many IT professionals, or let's say a special global talent people who we really need would have been eligible, which they are not now. So it's really an internal procedure that they have to go through, but I don't think this will be a first priority. Okay, let's make this change and give more scores to the older people. I don't think that this will be the priority, even if the change comes.
A big question that whoever applies for FSW is, will the points come down? Will the CRS points for FSW ever come down? With your experience, tell me, why are the points so high for the FSW category?
Because highly talented people from around the globe apply, and of course numbers.
Right.
When there is Canadian experience class and when there is FSW, both are in the express entry draw, the numbers are higher, obviously, because
Right.
they're covering bigger group of people versus just in Canada. Now it's only in Canada. Imagine, the one draw was happening for the entire world, and one draw is only happening for Canada. So of course, when it's the entire world, then the score is going to be higher, because the competition is high, because highly talented people with great English and everything. So those numbers go higher. And then, of course, they have this benchmark where they want to invite 3,000, 3,500, 2,800. So whatever their benchmark is for that particular draw, then they have to stop there. And for that reason, as soon as I think the FSW comes into play again, it really depends how many qualified individuals are applying and how highly qualified they are to meet this. But again, the score will go higher. Not sure up until which benchmark they're gonna stop it, but it's not gonna be 431. That I personally
That's
see.
for sure. Okay.
Yes.
So now on that front, is it still a good time to immigrate to Canada? How do you look at that?
Definitely. There is no doubt in it. I mean, there is this corona, I agree, but despite of corona, people are gonna retire. That doesn't change this factor.
Correct.
And if we look at those numbers and those ratios, they are way more higher than the unemployment that happened due to corona. And if the economy opens, there aren't many businesses that are permanently shut down. They're on pause, right? And those businesses who are shut down, they are gonna do something for living. And if you look at a human behavior, for example, I run a business. Tomorrow, it's less likely, if I have to, that I would go back to the job market. Maybe I will try to do the business in a bit different way. If I have 20 employees, maybe I'll come down to 5, So of course there will be some unemployment, but that is not really even close to the number of people who are going to retire by 2022. And that's why we had this big announcement before corona that government is planning this huge number of immigration thing and high number of immigrants in coming years. I think that will stay the same.
Okay.
Pretty much same.
The link that you just spoke about employers and jobs, and of course there's fear. I mean, Canada is always, like we spoke last time, the job market is difficult, but if there's a will, there's a way, sort of thing.
Yes.
But on that front, how with considering the experience that you have, and you yourself interact with a lot of employers, the hospitality industry has been hit really hard. Of course, travel as well. How open are these employers to still bring in foreign workers, considering, number one, of course, there's a travel risk, and with COVID-19, how are they looking at that? Are they still, with the kind of people that you've interacted with, are they still open to taking that risk of bringing foreign workers on board?
Honestly, they are interested, and definitely there was a time when it was very slow and quiet for the recruitment part of, even for our company, as we legally recruit international workers. But suddenly, in early, I would say in late June and early July now, we've started to get calls from employers saying that they need workers. Not necessarily the workers should come from overseas, even if a student having an open work permit or something like that. So, a lot of employers started to take back their workers. So, and especially in the remote areas where there is not a huge deal of corona, maybe in some small towns there isn't even a single
Case. Yeah.
yes. So that's why it is picking up, and because this is kind of an induced thing. So again, when the economy comes back, I think it will recover. Maybe not 100%, but up to certain mark, it will recover a bit faster. For example, if restaurant opens up, if there were 20 employees working, as I said, maybe they'll bring back 12 quickly, and
Correct.
the rest of
And
the
the rest,
7 they'll
yeah,
bring
as you said.
eventually, down the line. Yeah.
Yeah. Another sector that has definitely been hit is the student community. International students, of course, are a big part of Canada's immigration program in various,
Yeah.
ways. What are the pointers for them? A lot of confusion, I believe, among students. Is it a good time to immigrate? Should we immigrate? Parents, of course, also have concerns to send their children, with to, let's say, Canada, whichever part of Canada it is. So, with your, expertise, can you please shed light on what is the current situation for international students who want to come to Canada to study?
So again, I would repeat the ones who were approved before March. They were, I mean, that set date of March. They are studying online, and they will eventually come as soon as the travel is allowed. And they are also considered as an essential travel to some extent, even the foreign workers.
Okay.
As long as they have that letter from IRCC, that this is an essential travel and everything.
Yeah.
Now, the other good news for the other students who didn't receive an answer, as of July 1st, IRCC has started all processing all online temporary resident applications, which is student, worker, visitor, online ones. So if you've applied online from around the world, from any part of the world, you're in a good shape because they have at least started processing it. Paper applications, they are not processing until the further notice. So now there are many factors. Like, for example, in some countries, Austria and few other countries, they've already opened, even parts of China, they've already opened the VFS. So, the visa application centers for Canadian immigration. So they've already opened it, which means if they need a visa, they can go and submit their passport. Some countries, they don't. So still, even if they're processing, there could be some delay. A lot of patience is required, but this doesn't mean that they should close their dream or they should close this chapter of life. Okay, let's not go to Canada to study. No, there will be some delay, but everything is happening. It just, we down the line, we have to just imagine that these few months were just missing from our life. I think that's all.
Keep it on pause.
It will be just, whatever the plans are, they will eventually start, but with a bit of a delay.
What about for students who are still looking to study? These are the people who you just said have been approved or they've put applications beforehand. The ones that are looking to come probably, let's say, in the Jan intake, because there might be a possibility that things might get better for them then. How do you look at that? Do you think distance online learning right now would still be in effect? And, the experience of having an in-class, experience to study for students, especially because they're coming to also look at the culture, the way of studying, interaction, because all these soft skills also play a really big part when you're looking for jobs, right? I mean, that's the entire aspect of the experience that they come for. So how do you view that? Because a lot of colleges in Canada, of course, universities have gone online. If you could shed some light on that, please.
So they should not, again, they should apply for the offer letters, even if they're looking to come in January or next year, May, because they shouldn't wait that we will apply offer letter when everything opens, because there might be a huge rush, when everything opens up. So their application could be unnecessarily delayed. For an example, if you apply for the May intake now, versus you apply for the May intake in November, December, when everything resumes and becomes normal, they'll give priority to the applications who have already applied, So they should definitely, keep doing the necessary steps. And wherever the circumstances put a pause, okay, you now put the application, just sit back. We don't know when we're going to process it. We have to do the biometrics, but your VFS is closed. So, the factors that are out of their hand, just be patient on
On that
those
front.
steps, and then rest of the steps they can just keep completing. They can apply offer letter, they can prepare other things. Yeah.
You were mentioning about the language taking test, which is integral for both the parts, whether it's a student visa or worker or whatever sort of immigration. What are the best options for students who cannot, take an exam in person?
So Duolingo, that's another test that a lot of universities and colleges in Canada has started to accept.
Okay.
So they can take that test because that is online. And IELTS itself has also put into some efforts to make it online.
Okay.
I didn't go too much deep into that yet. I'm not sure how successful. I think it's for general as well. What's the difference? Are students comfortable? But Duolingo is specifically for
For
students, and
Canada.
universities will accept it, all the
Do you,
colleges.
it's very hard to predict this, but because of the current situation, do you think IELTS or even Duolingo could look into the general testing? Because that hasn't happened as yet. They're only focusing on the academic bit. Do you think there could be a little bit of a difference
I
there?
think the IELTS General is happening. A lot
Okay.
of my clients has given.
Okay.
So yeah. So IELTS General is happening. It
So
has
that
started.
would still be okay.
It
Perfect.
might be
So
hard to get a dates because all the
all
centers are not open. Some are
right,
closed, some are open.
right.
And of course, they might be limiting the numbers and stuff, taking these precautions. So, but it has started.
Okay.
And there's
And
been an online factor also into it. I'm not 100% sure about it, but there
yeah.
is some online factor into it that you
Okay.
can take it online.
Manpreet, with your years of experience in the immigration business industry, how are you predicting the next steps now? If you could, before I let you go, of course, in your words and with your experience, what is the best way to look forward for people still looking to immigrate to Canada, keeping all the factors in mind? Or if there are any other ways? I mean, you have spoken about PNP before as well. But if you were to sum it up, what is the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
way for people to really, I mean, if they're still looking to immigrate to Canada?
So if they were looking under federal skilled worker, of course, they need to be really patient right now.
Okay.
It's unsure, maybe another few months or maybe 6 months. Hard to say until they really bring it back, because it also depends on the second wave. If we get second wave of corona, that could delay the things little more.
Right.
If it's Canadian experience class, if for an example you've completed 10 months of experience, only 2 months remaining, and now you found a new job, it's okay. You only need 2 more months in the new
Months.
job. You don't need to really start from zero. So
Yeah.
just keep the things rolling. Again, it is hard to give a common advice to everybody, because in immigration, each and every client is
Case is
different.
different.
They have a tailor-made profile, so really depends. But they can just keep themselves updated online or contact a professional or some way that how they can do it in such a situation. Who are already in Canada, I wouldn't say, I don't see any door has closed for them, honestly. Like maybe they've lost their job, but since they have Canadian experience, they will find a new job. And then if they're doing PNP, they can do it from that job. But if they're doing Express, that is fine. They can use previous experience and some new experience, and then they can apply.
Right.
So everything is not shut down. And again, for the jobs and businesses, it has slowed down. But again, as soon as that everything opens up, even for the restaurants, hotels, people will start traveling, it will catch up, and then everybody will need more workers. Yeah.
So, like you always say, keep some patience and be positive, and things
Yeah,
will
and it is
definitely
true,
work out.
because see, a lot of students who weren't eligible in express entry, now they are in the
Okay.
Canadian experience class, right?
Because of the
Because of the
drastic
low
drop in.
score and everything, they weren't able to really get an invitation, I would say, not really eligible, but they weren't able to get an invitation, but now they are getting. So it is one way or another, things are coming together. And PNPs are also, although like the BC PNP has closed some occupations, but the good factor is for others, their score is really low.
Okay.
Yeah, and
In terms of the PNP, like if we were to talk about the Ontario PNP or even with the BC PNP, there are certain streams under that which require a full-time job offer. And this
Yeah.
is something that you spoke about last time, that the BCPNP was, making an exception because of the situation. If you had 9 months of experience and you were losing out on 2 or 3 because of COVID, they were going to look into it. Whereas Ontario has not said anything like that as yet. So what happens to those people who are on a time crunch? How do you, is there any way that they could tackle that issue?
First of all, they should apply for they should keep their status legal. If they're running out of all the options before their work permit expires, they should apply for a visitor extension.
Right.
That is one option that is available for everybody. They cannot restore it after their work permit expires. They can only restore back to the work permit. If they're, and as the BCPNP has already announced, if you did 7 months and you're off for 2 months and now you're back, they will consider it a continuous experience. When you finish another 2 months, they'll consider it a 9 years of continuous experience. They'll not consider that as a break.
Okay.
So that is a bit of relief there. Another thing is they can talk to their employer about LMIAs. So LMIAs are not closed at all. Really,
Oh, okay.
if the employer can prove that they still need worker and they really need workers, yes, it will be approved, and there are some priority occupations in it too that are they will get processed a bit quicker. So of course, it is a bit unfortunate on certain aspects, like as I said, if your work permit is about to expire and you're not getting invitation in the BCPNP and you do not have any other route apart from the PNP of the province where you're staying, and you're not getting invitation due to Corona because these occupations are excluded, or draw didn't happen, or they've paused this draw, then
Right.
yes, this is unfortunate. Then in that case, you either talk to your employer for LMIAs, or they extend the visitor status for now, or look into the express part of it. Maybe you're eligible now due to the score.
A big factor in the LMI, of course, with people that I have, spoken to as well, in terms of them wanting an LMIA, is the fact that with the current situation, it's very hard for an employer to prove that they're not finding a Canadian citizen or a PR person, which is why they're looking for a temporary foreign worker. How would you say, like, what are the chances of it actually being a positive report? Because now, there is unemployment because of COVID,
Yeah.
and so is it a, tricky, very tricky situation to be in?
Yeah, but see, there are certain very specific skills, right? You cannot ignore that. If they're bringing a very experienced software engineer and they want to keep it, there might be, you know, compared to that person, there might be 30 Canadians who are unemployed, but maybe they're unemployed from a restaurant. They can't really fill that labor shortage as a software engineer. So it really depends what the employer is looking for.
Also,
We're still
would you say it depends on the profession as well?
I would say profession and the area, like which demographically, all
Right.
that geographic, what's the population there, which part of Canada is the position located. Really, all these factors matter. As always, they were a crucial factors before also in deciding an LMIA. Of course, as any other category, LMIA is also affected and it is delayed. And Service Canada is now asking all the employers who have done advertisement before March 15, or I think before March, they have to do it again, even if their LMIA is in process and everything. So we're doing that for everybody. So which is a good sign from Service Canada. Now they're asking, which means they are processing it.
Okay.
Coming back to positive negative decision is a different story, but they're processing it, so they've opened up these things again. So really it really depends on the skill. I mean, if somebody is asking for, they're just needing some cashiers, I would doubt.
Yeah, there's a need for that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Okay.
it really depends, and also really they could be needing, if they
You
have
never know, yeah.
if they have brought back all their employees that were laid off, and those who were in serve, like they cannot say that we have 5 servers and 3 are on serve, and I still need a server. That's kind of course not right.
Right. So, in a nutshell, you've said that a lot of in the country applicants COVID turned out to be a little positive for them in terms of the Canadian experience class.
Yes.
For FSW, you have to be patient. In
Yes.
terms of students, do not drop your plans and still
Yeah,
be
no
focused.
need, no need. Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much. I mean, this has been a fantastic to get all the required answers that people, of course, are always looking forward to in terms of immigration. And I'm pretty sure if they have more queries, they can definitely contact you.
Yes, yes, for
But
sure.
thank you so much, Manpreet, for coming on the show again. And
Thank you
it was
for
great
having
having
me.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye.